Testing, testing.
Testing, testing.
I'm getting ready. Hard to know how to time this office hours because the how it connects up to the live stream varies. But it's 3 o'clock on Wednesday, and this is office hours. And I actually have not really planned anything and don't have anyone scheduled to phone in. But there is a topic that has been on my mind the last couple days. Got about 5 horses like this right now, but I've had many in my life. And it's the type that the major called sleeping beauties. A lot of people call them stuck or blocked or lazy horses, but usually they are very sensitive types that shut down or will mirror any resistance in the rider, especially in the base of support and legs. We all know that, and I'm actually I'm not really talking all the way to you guys right now. I'm talking to newer people. We all know that we can block and discourage horses with our hand or with the rein, but most people actually are blocking the horses in their bodies, in the horses' bodies by the human body, um, by attempting to leverage the horse or squeeze the horse. This is why I object so much to the idea of pressure and release, which isn't that is not a riding idea. That is an idea for comforting dogs and cats and horses that are afraid of lightning and thunder. Pressure and release isn't a thing. None of the aids are pressure. So if we have one of these sleeping beauties, and it's a type, and it's usually many stallions are this way. I don't know why the correlation, why they seem very casual and they seem unreactive. But when you work through it and then start to ride them with loose, correct riding by the aids instead of by leveraging and trying to push them into shapes, then we find out that they're often very, very sensitive, and that just a boop, just a little, they feel every touch. So then, 2 pounds of pressure, they're like, what the hell? And it's like, okay, I'll stop. That it really just needs an aligned soft rider causing ballast to be on their upper joints of their haunches and then the rest of it open towards the open end front and touches of the aids. And they'll just agree and do everything lightly and quickly as long as we are light and quick and don't like freeze frame in these positions. Okay, I want to say something about these sleeping beauties, because the other side of the coin are tense horses. The sleeping beauties react to resistance in the riding by mirroring it, by exactly showing it back to the rider. They show the blocking or the slowness back to the rider. They show the pressure of the rider as block. I cannot go through pressure. I don't want to. And I actually think the horses are often very, well, some of them start to use it to their own advantage if they're shrewd. But I really think that some of them are concerned about dislodging these tight, stuck riders if they do actually move. So anyway, the sleeping beauty types, and I'm not going to call, I do call them stuck. I mean, they're stuck, but it's really the riders who are stuck. So that's why I'm just going to call them sleeping beauties like the major did. Sleeping beauties, if I try to leverage them or have a rider on the fork or whatever, they'll grow roots into the ground and they are going to not go. The other type of horse, a hot horse or more, the other type of horse, if they feel that same pressure, they blow up. But it's this caused by the same problem, which is stuck, slow riding. Riding's faster than speech. It's like as fast as our neurons, because really when it starts to be the thought to the horse, it's supposed to be very fast. So that precludes any pressure in the seat. The seat is the base of support. It's sitting there by an arrangement of the bones that's somewhat stable, and then the mass of the upper body over it and the mass of the tissue of the base of support also holds it in place. Gravity is a very strong force. It will hold us on a horse. But most people are holding. Most US riders, well, that's actually now kind of the seat du jour is the fork seat. And it is a setup for this pressure-filled situation. So the riders who ride on the fork only really like to ride horses that are crazy or tense or maybe self-going even a little too much, because then they can compress them and still have something moving. But if that rider gets on a sleeping beauty, or the horses that are labeled as resistant or stuck, that horse, he feels like he feels like, I'm compressed, I cannot move. So the solution, and it's not easy. The solution is retraining the rider's seat to be an open seat. See Gymnasium by Steinbrecht, page 34, or Google the open seat. The open seat, page 34, Steinbrecht's Gymnasium. That's one of the solutions. The other solution is really learning the natural aids, the primary influence and the first aid always given is the weight aid, and understanding that weight is pressure, weight is mass, not pressure. The aid of the seat is weight, not pressure. And that nice, reliable, steady weight that's soft, it that is what causes the haunch joints to slightly start to yield. And that's like another, it's like putting the car into drive. Like that unlocks the horses too. And so it's having a correct base of support instead of a fork seat. And it's learning the natural aids, particularly the weight aid that is really a function of the open seat that is not going to constrict the flanks of the horse that must broaden during collection. I hope this is cogent. And is there anything else? And this also all has to do with looseness. So that the rider really has to be loose and quicken their aids within this stable system that is stable because it's loose. So this is why the idea that is so sick, talking about core, there is no core in riding. There's no core. There's nothing held. In fact, a really good rider, if the horse is just standing there, there's a little slouch in them because they're so loose and they come up when there's momentum carrying them forward. The horses carry us. We don't make it. We don't create it. Riding isn't creation. God created the horses going. We learn and teach them to allow us to guide and govern it. But we don't create the going. And, you know, that might be enough. I've been here 10 minutes. No one's calling because I didn't talk to anyone. And you just need to strike these words from your lexicon for horse training. Core, create. You create nothing. You're not a creator. Riding isn't creation. And so strike those two words and strike pressure from your lexicon. And the words we want are loose, plumb, and the natural aids, especially the weight aid. So imagine this stuck horsey, this like sort of morose little gelding, this sullen, or this bored seeming stallion. What happens when a loose, soft, informed rider comfortably spreads themselves through all their pants? Like, all my breeches are loose. I comfortably spread, the weight's dropping down into their coxofemoral joints. He goes, "Ooh, that feels kind of good." So now if the weight is being taken on by those top joints, all the joints below them become liberated. And I have an open seat. Everything's going the same direction. He has a clear open end, no restriction. My pants are soft on his side. They're not squeezing in his rib cage so he can't exhale to get oxygen to feed his muscles. It's a completely different thing. So no creation, no core, no pressure, even if you couple it with release, because you're too slow. If you have time to put on pressure and then time to release, I'm already to the next trick. It's too slow. No core, no pressure, no creating. Instead, we ride loose, plumb, ear, shoulder, hip, heel, by the natural aids, especially the mass, the weight of our seat. All right, that's all you get this week. I actually was pondering not having any office hours in August. I'm going to ponder that. I'm not going to decide that now, but it's possible. And also, there's not going to be any office hours the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Okay, now ride well, be loose, learn the aids so you can be literate in them and not be slow pressure girls. Okay, onward we go.